Start your business for the freedom of time. Now you're tired of the hustle and grind. There's gotta be a better way. It's time to listen to Chill and Prosper. Welcome to Chill and Prosper. You're ready to chill and prosper with Denise Duffield-Thomas.
Hey, gorgeous. It's Denise here, and you are listening to Chill and Prosper, if you weren't sure by the jingle at the top. Today we're talking about this philosophy of there's always an easier way to do things. There's always an easier option. Now, this came about when I was writing my book, Chill and Prosper, and it really is kind of one of the themes I think of the book is there's easier ways, right? So I always say to people, there's easier ways to make money. There is always an easier way. And the easier ways to make money is an interesting one because often when I ask people about their businesses or tell me what they're struggling with, they'll often tell me things that are so clearly against their nature and against their natural flow and way of doing things that is causing them a lot of stress. And this is why I rarely give business advice to people personally unless I know their money archetype. Okay, because what's easy for one archetype can be very, very hard for another archetype. Okay, and I'll give you some specific examples on this. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, so I'm certified in the Sacred Money Archetypes method by Kendall Summerhawk. And if you go to denisedt.com/quiz, you'll get the quiz and you will get a free workshop about how to use your quiz results, how to use your archetype in a way that makes your business easier for you. Okay, so there are 8 archetypes. Sorry, my Siri was just coming on. So the first archetype is the accumulator. These are people who are quite cautious with money, can be quite good savers, can be quite like cautious about, leaps of faith and things like that. The other one is the alchemist, very opposite, very creative, lots of ideas, very optimistic about things working out. Then you have the celebrity, someone who loves being the center of attention. They can be quite, love designer clothes and bling and all that kind of stuff. Then you have the connector. These are people who love storytelling and finding meaning in things and can be also great networkers and connectors of people. Then you have the mavericks. These are people who hate rules. They love newness and finding ways to break outside the box. Then you have the nurturers, people who live for taking care of others and making sure that everyone else is okay. Then you have the romantics, people who are all about living the most pleasurable life they can. And then you have the rulers, people who are all about monetizing everything and building big empires, right? So that's in a nutshell. You might go, what? Don't worry. If you go do the quiz, not only will you find out about your archetype, in I think workshop 2 or 3, you find out about the other archetypes too, because when you're in business, it's not just about you and your preferences. It's who are you serving, right? Who are you serving? What are their preferences? What are their personalities? And I think this really does really emphasize this thing of how to make things easier is finding your flow and also finding that perfect match between who you are, who you want to serve, and what works for them, right? Okay, so there's always easier ways to make money. Okay, so as I said, when people say to me, oh, I'm trying to do this thing and I'm really struggling with XYZ, usually if they're struggling, it's because they've copied someone else's business model or what they think that they should do. Okay, so it could be someone saying, I really love doing tarot readings, but I really hate people coming to my house. Okay, so this is pre-pandemic. I heard this a lot. And I'd say, oh, just do them on Zoom. And they go, oh, no. My clients really, really want to meet face to face. And you go, but you don't like doing that. And so I'm sure when you don't like doing something and it's against your flow and against really your personal preferences, there are things that happen that mean that we sometimes unwittingly sabotage ourselves. It could be that you stop marketing because you really don't want to have that conversation over and over again, or that you just feel guilty about asking for what you want, so you don't. even if some people would be totally fine with doing it on Zoom, right? So that's just one example, but it just shows that it's okay for you to run your business how you want. Okay, so let's go back to the money archetypes for a second, right? If you look at, say, the alchemist and the accumulator, right? So the accumulator is very cautious, the alchemist, not cautious at all. All right. So when people say things like, on your sales page, right, you should put all the information about everything. Accumulators are the ones who need all that information. Accumulators are the ones who do read all of that. Alchemists, no, they don't. They get bored with it. It's not how they make decisions about whether to join a program or not, or whether to buy a service or not. For them, it has to be how it makes them feel. Okay. And so when I think there's always an easier way, there's always easier clients, you've got to look at what works for you. So if you're sitting there beating yourself up going, oh my God, I can't create a program because it has to be really structured and it has to be like this and it has to be like that. Well, you're not going to do it. So why not create it in the way that you want to create it? There's always an easier way, right? So some people will say, someone's told me I have to be really consistent in creating content, but I don't want to be on camera. I'm like, don't be on camera. They go, but my coach said I have to be. Denise, you said your face is my fortune. Go, no, dude, do what's easy for you because you won't do it otherwise. So what would be easy for you? And they might go, oh, well, what if I just do, I don't know, like audio? But will people like it? Who cares? If you're not going to create it, if you're literally not going to do it anyway, why wouldn't you just like do what's easy for you? Otherwise, it probably won't exist. There's always an easier way. Now, let's talk about clients, right? There's always an easier client. Now, when I say things like that, you'll have people, usually connectors, nurturers, right, who go, but Denise, I love everybody. I want to work with everyone. I go, I'm not saying that any archetype is bad or any particular client is bad. It's just that it might not be a good fit for you. Okay, so I'm a ruler in money archetypes. So the ruler is the empire builder, always thinking about business, and I can be quite bossy, right? That's part of my personality is I can just be like, do it this way. So when I was a coach, I wasn't clear about this and I didn't really know who I was serving. So I was just serve anybody. And for some people, I would almost make them cry because I'd be like, I don't think you should do it like that. Why not do it like this? And they might have been archetypes who needed a little bit more hand holding, a little bit more like, lubrication. It's okay. Let's hold your hand. It's okay if it takes 6 months. And so I'd be like, well, let's just do it now. And so it wasn't that they were bad or I was bad. It just wasn't a good fit. There were easier clients for me to work with. And so when you're honest about who you are and what you can offer and be unapologetic about that, because that's all you can do, then you can attract people who need what you have to offer, right? So if I say, look, as a coach, I'm going to be pretty like cut and dried. I will tell you what I think. I'm quite impatient. So I think, I want to work with someone who really wants those results fast. Then it's a bit different than if I was just saying, I can help anyone, because it's just not my style, right? I can't necessarily flex between that. So there's always easier clients for you, for you. Now, in my Sacred Money Archetypes course, there is like a matrix where you can look at your archetype and all of the other archetypes and where those commonalities could be for you. Where are those points where you could have things in common or things where you might clash, right? So let's take the celebrity and the accumulator. I'm talking a lot about accumulators because I have a lot of accumulators in my audience. So accumulators can be quite frugal, and celebrities can be overspenders, right? They can definitely be people who overspend. What do they have in common? And so a commonality that they can find together is an appreciation of quality, an appreciation of buying things that will last for a long time. That's somewhere where they can have common ground. You think about mavericks who love to break the rules, and let's pick like nurturers, right? where could they have something in common? And so what I love about working with nurturers is that they have so much compassion for other people. So if you want someone to really hold space for your out of the box ideas, and you can't talk to your ruler mate because she's going to be like, all right, let's do it, let's get it done. You don't necessarily want to talk to, I don't know, an alchemist necessarily, because they might put you into lots of other directions. You want someone just to go, you know what, I give you permission to do this, and I can hold space for you, and I can listen. That's where, like, you can really have that alchemy and that magic, right? But until you know those things, and if you're just like literally just working with anyone and feeling like you have to do things that are hard for you, it is going to feel hard. It absolutely is going to feel hard. Okay, so let's talk about some other ways that you can create more ease in your business and in your life. All right, I'll see you after the break.
It's your time and you're ready for the next step. It's your time and you're ready for the next step. It's your time and you're totally ready for the next step. So many times we are waiting for the perfect moment, for all of the green lights, or for someone else to tap us on the shoulder and say, you're ready. But it has to come from inside you, and you can declare yourself ready now. Put your hand on your heart and try it with me. It's my time and I'm ready for the next step. If you know deep in your heart, even if you're scared, that you're ready to let go of some of your money fears and finally profit from your skills and talents, it's time to get to work. Your next step is to come and join us in Money Bootcamp. You can work with me as your money mindset mentor and join our beautiful community so you can really give yourself permission to make money and change the world. Click below to find out more, but don't wait any longer. Come and join us today. We're ready for you, and it's your time and you're ready for the next step.
Okay, welcome back. We're talking about creating ease in your business. And so for the first part, we were talking about like archetypes, right? And your money archetype, knowing what's your true nature and how to make things easy for you, not for other people, right? And this is, I think, where sometimes we have to look and go, what parts of my business am I doing because a coach told me to, because I'm following someone else's business model, because that's how I thought it had to be done, because I didn't think that there was any other way, because my mentor or my school or my certification told me to do it that way. I'm allowed to break the rules, and I'm allowed to do it in a way that makes sense for me, not someone else. And I'm allowed to do it. Okay, that's the really first big thing. I think on this, there's always an easier way, is adopting an attitude of abundance. There's always more. There's always more. And there's always more clients is a big one, right? There are so many people in the world that you can serve. You only need a small percentage of them to have a successful business. But we sometimes think we have to take on everybody because there's scarcity, right? There's not enough people. And especially when, people are talking about the economy being tight and you feel like maybe that there aren't as many clients as there used to be, it can kind of become self-fulfilling because you stop sometimes marketing, you stop talking about what you do. But really, there's so many people in the world that you can help. Sometimes when I get together with my business friends, and we're just sharing like, oh my God, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Half the people in the room will say, oh my God, what about that girl who's doing this? Or what about that guy who's doing this? Or have you seen that person doing this? And I go, no, I've never heard of them. And they're like, are you serious? They've got like, 1 million followers on TikTok and they're doing like, they're making this money and they're doing it. And I was like, literally never heard of them before in my entire life. And it just shows that we are all in our own little ponds. And sometimes we forget that there are all these other universes and all these other people who are just going about doing their thing, right? And we can become a little bit stagnant there, especially if you're starting to be a little bit of a big fish in your pond, in your small pond. But it is this feeling of scarcity. There's only so much in the world, and everyone's heard about what I do. I think that all the time. I go, oh my God, everyone's heard about this now. And I go, oh my God, nobody knows about me in the greater scheme of the world, right? I'm like, oh my God, no, there's so many more people that I can help. Now, if you struggle with this, you can start in really small ways to expand your abundance thinking. And one of them is with hair elastics and bobby pins, right? To just go, there's always another hair elastic. There's always another bobby pin, because oh my God, there are, right? There's always a hair elastic somewhere. If I were to look in this room, there will be probably one in my bag, one in my pocket, probably one on my wrist. I don't know, it's probably got a couple in my hair. There'll be one in the corner of the room somewhere. There'll be one under a cushion. There is always one more at least. And if you think that way, then it's like, okay, I feel I'll be okay. Even if I decide to change my business to suit me, there's always someone who will like that. Okay. And then you can like expand your abundance thinking around it. So I used to do it of like, there's always a coin somewhere. There's always a coin. And I was getting my makeup done recently at a conference, and I was talking about this concept of, like, there's always more. And then I was like, oh, look, there's a coin over there. And she was like, what? And I'm like, there's one right there. And so challenge yourself to think about this of going, there's always more. There's always more people I can help. And not only that, maybe your next growth point on this is there's always more perfect clients for me. Because sometimes that scarcity thinking comes in of going, yeah, but if I did it like this, then not everyone's going to like it. And that's true. Not everyone will like it. Not everyone will appreciate it. But there is enough work for you to do it in the exact way that you want to do it. And to say, here are my standards. Here's what I can offer. Here's how I want to offer it. And trust that there will be enough people to be able to sustain a successful business for you. Okay, because there's not anything that's so weird and wacky. There's a lid for every pot. That's the Florence Scovel Shin. Is that the name? Yeah, I read that as a quote from her. There's a lid for every pot. There is supply for every demand. There's demand for every supply. I can't remember which way she did it, but it was like someone will like it if you're just true to yourself. And I think there's something that's really attractive too to people when someone is true to themselves and just say, this is what I can offer. This is who I am. Because then it feels like someone's got certainty. When someone's a bit wishy-washy and we're just like, oh, I don't know if you can get the results that I want, or you don't feel confident enough to me. And it's just being honest. It's being honest about who you are and what you can offer. And that's when it becomes very powerful. Okay, so there's always an easier way. Another example that I want to share with you is, so I did a book tour in 2017, and I went to New York, where did I go? Florida, Dallas, LA. And some of you might have come to that. It was great. We saw like hundreds of people at each step, but it was really hard for me. It was really, really hard. One is that I brought my family because I felt guilty about being away. But also I had like, I don't know, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, right? And it was exhausting. It was absolutely exhausting doing that. And I found it like just a bit of a production, and I found it a little bit stressful, to be honest, and it was very expensive to do a book tour like that. And so when I did my next book with Hay House, they were like, are you going to do a book tour? And I went, no, it's too hard. And I just went, hang on, what if there's an easier way? What if there's an easier way to do this? Can I get the same result of seeing people and like launching this book, but in an easier way for me? Right. And so I went, I don't want to do it on weekends. I don't want to be away from my family, and I don't want to take them with me. Right. And I was like, can I do this? And so I went, okay, I'm not going to do it internationally. I'm going to do it in Australia, and I'm going to do it during the day, during the weekday. And there were a few people who were like, oh, but I won't be able to come. And I was like, that's all I can do. Nowadays, I probably would do it at night. It's just I was in a phase of my life where I was like, I don't know, I was tired, who knows. But I was like, this is what I'm going to do. So I did it weekdays, and I did it from midday to 2 p.m., which cuts out a lot of people who work full time. But I was like, you know what? It's this or nothing. It's this or I'm not going to do the tour. It has to work for me, which means during the week and it means like during the day. That was the first thing. And then I was like, I don't want it to be expensive because it's a self-funded tour and I didn't want the tickets to be really expensive and I didn't want it just to be a big logistical thing because doing a 4-city book tour, not only was it really expensive, it just took a lot of time and energy to organize. And I had a beautiful event planner and all that kind of stuff, but it was a lot. So I went, I'm going to do it in cinemas. I'm going to do it at cinemas because they're always open. They're always in a convenient spot. They always have parking. They already have chairs because when you start doing events, you realize that you find a great place and then they're like, okay, so do you want us to set up chairs? Do you want it to be theater style? Do you want it to be cabaret style? Do you want it to be a U shape? And there's so many decisions to make. And I was like, this is not fun for me to do this. I want it to be really, really easy. So I was like, they already exist. They already have disabled access. They already have a screen. They already have AV set up. There's toilets. There's a snack bar. Like all of these decisions that I didn't have to make. I was like, this is brilliant. And I chose one cinema chain because they had them all around the country. I chose Event Cinema. I knew the marketing lady for that at our local store. So she put me in touch with them. I organized it in one day, 12 cities. 12 cities in one day. It cost me on average about $1,000 per cinema. Some were a little bit cheaper, some were a bit more expensive if they're in a big city. About on average about $1,000 to hire that cinema. And so I kept the tickets pretty low, but also it meant that I could travel by myself. I didn't need a team with me. So I didn't even have a lot of slides. I had one slide that they put up on the screen when I walked in. They gave me a microphone. Everyone got popcorn as they walked in. I literally I was like, hey guys, do you want to come in the cinema now? It's just like literally me. But it was so low key and easy. And that for me was such a big lesson that you don't always have to do things in the way that other people do them. It's not like, oh, well, I don't want to do the big book tour anymore, so I guess I'm not going to do it. It was like, what would make it easier for me? And so what I ended up doing, those 12 cities, I did go to New Zealand as well. So I did go to another country, but it's practically Australia. I did 2 in 1 week. So I left home on Tuesday. I did a Wednesday day, and then Wednesday night flew to the next city, and then did a Thursday day, and then flew home. So I was away Tuesday to Thursday for a couple of weeks, and I did 12 cities for my book tour. And so the reason why I share that is like, it is a cool event tip as well, if you run events, by the way, but it's just like, there's always a solution in a way that works for you. And not everyone's going to be happy about it. And not everyone's going to be able to, it's not going to suit everybody, but it suited me. And if it didn't suit me, it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have done it. So it's this or nothing, literally this or nothing. So that's how you make things easy for yourself. There's always more. There's always more clients. There's always a different way of doing things. There's always more solutions. There's always another way that you could do it that could be easier or cheaper or more fun for you. And then you'll actually do it. Yeah. All right. So I've got one final thought for you. Don't go away after this last break.
So I have done the money boot camp and there's so many things I could share, but one of the things I loved is the incremental upgrades and the idea that you start slow with the upgrades and it feels like it's going really slowly, and then all of a sudden it'll just be massive. And I just went, oh, okay, well, all right, let me do it. So the first thing I did was I got sunglasses, which I had a really beautiful pair of sunglasses like 8 years ago. And then one day I sat on them and I was like, that's it. Like, you're never getting any good sunglasses again. You don't deserve it because you just sat on this, and that's it. You're too responsible for it. So then I always had these crappy sunglasses, but I love sunglasses. So I got these sunglasses and I got 2 pairs. And actually the less expensive pair was an Anchor that I started having, cause they're like rose gold and they just like make me feel like hot and like I got my shit together. And, I've got this selfie of myself where every time I'm feeling a bit like wobbly, I'll look at that and be like, yeah, okay. So I upgraded that and like just did the course, and then literally within probably six to 12 months at the very most, I think it was less than that, we bought the apartment next door. We have done an entire renovation of the whole place within a year, and it was like it started so small and then it just went like these massive opportunities came up that would never have been there before. So that's been incredible, and really just also like as a female, it never occurred to me that it's not a common thing to be like not only a breadwinner, but like running a company. And I was just like, oh, this is just what you do. And then just realizing there are so many things that you face that are not only you, like whether it be the tax thing or whether it be, oh, I can't make more money than like the male figures in my family. And like, just doing all that work to like see what's in the way, the negative consequences, has made a really big difference with that. So, yeah.
Okay, so my final thought is, you remember CoverGirl used to have that slogan like easy, breezy, beautiful. And I often remind myself that it's like it's okay for things to be easy, breezy, and feel beautiful for you. And I honestly think it just brings up so much guilt for us sometimes of like, no, it's supposed to be hard. I have to work for it and deserve it. And it doesn't. So just remind yourself that and just like, what can make this easy breezy? Because you'll be able to show up and serve people so much better when you have more bandwidth for yourself, when it feels easy. And, there's that quote of like, if you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And it's like, yeah, cool. But it's like, if you make things easier for yourself, you'll be able to show up and serve more people and do it in a way that doesn't deplete you, in a way that has longevity for you and all of the beautiful people that you want to serve and help and inspire. So give yourself permission to be easy breezy, beautiful. All right, well, let's chill and prosper for the next week. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Make it chill. Make it easy and breezy. Bye.
Start your business for the freedom of time. Now you're tired of the hustle and grind. There's gotta be a better way. It's time to listen to Chill and Prosper. Welcome to Chill and Prosper. You're ready to chill and prosper with Denise Duffield-Thomas.